Well, good morning, dear prayer partners and friends. It's Wolfgang Herz-Lane again, pastor at Christ the King Lutheran Church in Cary, North Carolina, with my weekly prayer partners video update. Um, Today, I want to tell you about a book we recently read together with our congregation council. It's one of the things we do with church council now that really is very cool, I think. Uh, we meet every month, of course, like most church council or governing boards do. Um, but we don't just meet for business, and we have made it our practice now to meet in small groups for a little bit to kind of check in and pray together. And also, we read a book together and discuss it in those small groups. And the book we read last year is called Canoeing the Mountains. It's by Todd Bolsinger, who is a professor at Fuller Seminary out in California. And together with the council, we read this chapter by chapter, and every month, we take a chapter and we talk about it and all that. And this book is all about change and how ministry changes. And of course, Todd Bolsinger couldn't have known this, but now with the coronavirus crisis all across the land and everybody being stuck at home, and then talking about what it would look like to reopen the society and the church, and how that would happen in stages, and wondering what church is going to be like when we get back, and when that is going to be. I mean, everything he says in here has come true in spades. And what I found so fascinating about this book, you might be wondering about the title, Canoeing the Mountains. It really uses, Lewis and Clark, those explorers in the early 19th century who were looking for the Northwest Passage to the Pacific Ocean as an example. Lewis and Clark, of course, I think President Thomas Jefferson had asked them to do that, were canoeing in the eastern part of the United States, and they were looking for a way to get to the Pacific. And the assumption at the time was that this continent, this North American continent, would gradually, rise up from the Atlantic in the east to kind of to the middle of the country. And once you got to the continental divide, then it would kind of gently go down on the other side and all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And so the assumption was that there would be a way by ship, by boat, by canoe, to get across the whole country. And that's Lewis and Clark went on this expedition to see whether that was, well, they thought it was true, right? And then he describes early in this book, he describes how they got to the middle of the country, and they discovered that that was not true. There wasn't some big river west of the Mississippi that would carry them all the way to the Pacific. In fact, there were the Rocky Mountains. Nobody had expected there to be the Rocky Mountains. And now they had to canoe the mountains. That's where this title comes from. And here's just one paragraph from the book. When they discover this, Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery, I guess this was their organization behind them, Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery were about to go off the map and into uncharted territory. They would have to change plans, give up expectations, even reframe their entire mission. What lay before them was nothing like what was behind them. There were no experts, no maps, no best practices, and no sure guides who could lead them safely and successfully. The true adventure, the real discovery, was just beginning. And isn't that where we find ourselves as a church in these days? Nothing is the way it was. Everything is changing, and ministry will never be the same. I guess during the first couple weeks of this stay-at-home order, we kind of were assuming that eventually, right, we would be let out and things would go back to normal, and we would return to our churches, and everything would be like it was in early February. Well, it's clear now that that is not going to happen. If there is a return, if there is a going back, it's going to be very gradually, and there will be lots of restrictions. For us at Christ the King, that means we won't be reopening until groups of at least up to 100 can gather safely. We are a larger congregation, so we really can't. And even if that happens, then we'll have lots of restrictions. People will have to sit 6 feet apart in family groups. They won't be able to mingle with each other. There won't be a coffee hour. We won't be able to do things like use hymnals or pass around offering plates. Those kinds of things, because we need to stay safe, right? And we need to continue to flatten the curve of this coronavirus. So we are making plans for that, but in the meantime, of course, we are on live, and we have live streaming worship services every Sunday at 8:30 and at 11, and Wednesdays at 6:30. And I hope you've been able to connect with some of those. We are on YouTube, and the easiest way is to get there through our website, ctkcarry.com/live. And that way you can connect with us, and I hope you're doing that. Know that I pray for you in these uncertain and changing times, as I know you pray for me, and thank you for that. Thank you for being partners in ministry with me and the folks at CTK. God bless you always. Take care.